Hi, I'm Jackie Darker and welcome to Lydian.
Hi everyone and welcome to this episode of Just Jackie. So today I'm joined by Dave Carney. So he is the co-founder and CEO of Virtual Business Partners, which is an Australian outsourcing company based in the Philippines. So hi Dave, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Without mentioning anything about work, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
A bit about myself. Father of two, just about to, in the midst of training to go to Nepal on a trek is sort of my priority at the moment. So I'm sort of nervously getting a month away from sort of spending 14 days at altitude trekking through Nepal. So that's probably my main interest at the moment.
Is that base camp you're doing by any chance?
Doing Annapurna range, and yeah, sort of I've been to the Himalayas once before, but sort of up around that. Actually going to the highest lake in the world. So,
oh, wow.
Don't know what all that means, but anyway, I'll find out.
Yeah, that's it. Just a bit of a side note, nothing to do with Lydian or Virtual Business Partners. I actually watched a great movie on Netflix called 14 Peaks. Have you seen it?
I have, yes.
Oh,
very good.
Amazing. If anyone hasn't seen it, highly recommend it. It's very good. Anyway, back to business. So can you tell us what your job entails exactly?
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm the CEO of a business. We have around about 1,200 people, a dozen or so in Australia, and then the majority offshore in the Philippines. And so my day-to-day is just sort of, I guess, working on strategy, developing, our plans, those sorts of things, and then just trying to manage our execution. I have some good support that help me with all that, but I guess I get involved mainly when there's things not quite working and problems arise and those sorts of things. But what I probably most passionate about is, how do we innovate? We're the first to market in financial services to sort of do what we do, and so that was probably something that was exciting, is how do we continue to innovate? And there's a lot of change happening in this industry, so I'm really excited about how we can sort of help shape some of those innovations.
Yeah, awesome. So the Lydian operations team has been built out by Virtual Business Partners, and I know how much of a difference the ops guys makes to the day-to-day workings of a Lydian broker. So can you tell us who else would benefit from working with Virtual Business Partners?
Oh, look, we work with professional service firms. So it's where we work with firms where it's sort of repeat work, so we're part of, our team is, as you mentioned with Lydian, it's a global, it's essentially a global team that work together with you guys onshore day by day. And so we're continually doing, repeatable type tasks for clients, in financial services, mortgage, accounting, legal, those sorts of things. Mm-hmm. The reason I say, professional service, we don't work with the customer, so we don't work for large institutions where we're doing call center, that sort of thing. We're embedded into the team and we work with the clients. So anyone that has that sort of work, I guess that's where we're there. And, our key mantra is highest and best use. So I sort of learned a long time ago that if you can get the majority of your team to work at their highest and best use the majority of the time, you're going to win business, right? As simple as that, right? But what happens is, as we're trying to grow a business, smaller businesses, we find that so often, we end up doing things that is not at our highest and best use just because someone has to get them done. And, we staff member leaves and we're short-staffed or whatever. But more and more, if you're focused on what you do well, what your unique capability is and what your highest talent is, that's probably going to be what you're passionate about, what energizes you, and it's probably going to be what's going to make the business money. And that's sort of where we try to play a role, where we can help take away some of those things that aren't highest and best value and support people to do that.
So speaking about being spread too thinly within your business, I understand your perspective of work-life balance has changed dramatically since the early stages of your career. Do you have a particular client success story of how Virtual Business Partners has done the same for one of your clients?
Yeah, it's funny, one of our core values actually is work-life integration. So we don't necessarily talk about work-life balance. although, that's an important, but you want to integrate. We were talking earlier that I live up in Noosa and, relocated from Sydney. And so, I guess I built and designed a business where well before pandemic, I could have the sort of, lifestyle and things that I, wanted to do. And when I travel, I have to travel long distances, but I get a lot of the balance and those sorts of things. But we integrate life. And, I think, again, examples with clients is people, what I've recognized is people work, you've got to work smarter, not harder. And so, sometimes what we're doing is freeing up people to just be able to, to get the balance, to think about what's important, to spend more time with children, with their families, whatever that might be. But other times it might be just to be able to seize those opportunities. And sometimes, like if I was sort of mentoring anyone that's younger or whatever, I go, look, sometimes you've got to dig in, like work-life balance doesn't mean that you just, you get to just work sort of 7.5 hours a day and you get a flex day every 3 weeks or whatever it is. Sometimes, if you're wanting to build something, you want to do something meaningful, you really got to lean in, and sometimes it's all consuming. Yeah. That's unhealthy though, if that becomes the norm and that's forever. So that is, that's sort of like a critical thing that I would say. Sometimes, you've got to do, and even in my job, leading into a conference or some activities where we've got a lot of moving parts, you're going to do a lot more effort, but then you're going to balance that with taking, sort of time off. So, I now have, 2 months off a year and schedule, I'm a bit of a planner. So, the end of the year, start of the new year, I'll have mapped out my entire year, when we're doing business planning, when we're doing focus times, conferences, but also when I'm taking, those times off and all that sort of stuff. So, that's my sort of, I guess, a view on work-life balance. And, for our clients, look, there've been many examples of where they've been able to do that. I'm just sort of probably reflecting on some of the ones who've been around a lot longer that are now in positions where their business has been able to grow as a result of sort of working with us, but also their own, efforts and energies and those sorts of things, where they are now in a position where they're, a lot, not as hands-on. The definition of a business is that it should be able to profitably operate with or without you, right? Now, if you choose to work in the business, you should get a wage and commensurate for that. And of course, with structuring and tax, and sometimes it's not always as simple as that. But a business, should be able to, everyone should be trying to position that we want to be in a position where we have a business that can operate whether I'm there or not. That's always a challenge in professional services with the clients because, it's the people at the top that are rewarded and valued and, have to bring in the revenue, etc. But, it doesn't mean it can't happen.
Yeah, sure. So it's very much of going back to work-life balance, that work-life balance kind of rhythm goes with the ebbs and flows of business. It's not just always full steam ahead constantly. It's finding those seasons within the business world, and that's where the lifestyle comes into it.
Well, and that's making conscious choice, being aware of it, understanding that sometimes you do need to lean in and sometimes it is, long hours and those sorts of things, but then you've got to balance that out and you've got to make sure you have what I call free days, which are 24 hours of when you don't have anything to do with the business, including checking emails and all this. All the modern technologies that allow us to sort of stay connected are not healthy, and so when I go away, when I do that, look, I will from time to time, depending on, but there'll be days when, I go, I can, not have to check an email. I don't need to look in. I don't need to connect because at the end of the day, we're not doing brain surgery. It's not urgent. The issues, I think we have too much self-importance of ourselves, or we're not empowering our people to make the decisions. So, to be really healthy, yes, you got to have those balances. And of course, you want to move to a time where you can actually have that perfect work-life balance, which might be 4 days a week working, 3 days off, all those sorts of things. But that doesn't happen in an instant. But when you are, leaning in and working long out, you've got to make sure you're balancing that up with sufficient, time to keep your energy.
Yeah. Wow. I think a lot of people will take a lot from that. Awesome. So Virtual Business Partners doesn't just positively impact their clients. These amazing opportunities start at the root of the business by hiring local staff and then training them to become mortgage broking assistants. So can you tell us how that works exactly and the value in giving someone an opportunity?
Yeah. Funny, So when I started the business, I saw an opportunity in the market. People were struggling to get support, struggling, to execute, and that whole idea of not working at their highest and best use, not working smarter. So it was purely an opportunity to find a gap in the market and make some money. But along the way, you end up with over 1,000 people that you support in the Philippines, and you provide them work where they get to work, 7 to 4 is what we work there, so it's the same time zone as Australia, 5 days a week. They don't have to do, night shifts, which is very common because of a lot of US clients. They get a normal life. But I guess, along that, I sort of realized how fortunate people are and how not everyone's given the same opportunities in life. Mm-hmm. And how lucky maybe sometimes just where we're born, just the luck of where the opportunity that rolls our way. And so watching and seeing people sort of where they're given an opportunity and watching them flourish and grow and develop has sort of been one of the most humbling but, rewarding parts of the job. And, probably today is more important than, the numbers and all that sort of stuff. Whilst we're successful and doing well, seeing those people be there, we always talk about the best version of you is your authentic self, and often allowing them to feel the confidence to be their authentic self is when they really are able to sort of, develop into those roles that we want them to do. Typically, clients want people they want quality work, right? They want it productive. We need a certain amount of work done in a reasonable time, so we're getting value for money. And then if we're getting those things, the third element that what our clients want is they want people to be proactive. Now, that's quite challenging culturally, because of the way certain things are with the respect of, Asian and particularly Filipinos. So, we have to work on developing them, which is helping get their capabilities, supporting them and letting them know it's okay to make some, mistakes along the way, and they're learning exercises, and this is all normal part, and we're all human, but if your intent's right, etc. And then, really, being able to acknowledge them and give them confidence is actually when they become proactive. So I know that's probably a long way of explaining, but when you want to bring people through on that career, when their confidence is up, when they feel like they're supported, that's when you get that real proactivity, and that's when you can ask them to do things that can get them to do highly capable sort of things. And I call them kids. They're sort of average in their 20s, typically, probably your age or younger. But they're smart, right? They need the confidence, and they need an opportunity sometimes. But their willingness to please and all that sort of stuff is second to none. They have a innate sense of just wanting, they want to do good by their clients. They respect the people they work with. They want to please. And if they're not, it's often because we just haven't set them up for success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know on behalf of Lydian, we absolutely love our operations team, and they are everything to us. So shout out to the Lydian Ops guys. Now, one last quick question. If you were to have your own talk show, who would be your first guest?
Oh, who would be my first guest? Ricky Gervais.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Would be very entertaining.
Entertaining. He's a smart guy. I don't know. It'd just be, that's who I'd want. Yeah, that would do it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Dave, for joining us. And again, we love what you're doing, and we love our ops guys. So thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Bye.
Bye.